News now. They say when it rains it pours, a saying that perfectly fits a national carrier Kenya Airways in 2015. Hot of announcing a historic loss, the airline was at it again, this time announcing yet another loss of 11.9 billion shillings in the 6 months to September, cementing what has obviously been a year of reckoning for the airline. Here's Adelaide Changole with the numbers and what lies in store for KQ as it struggles to regain its wings.
We are taking that into account as we develop.
On the 30th of July, the country's national carrier Kenya Airways announced a record-breaking 29 billion shilling loss for the full year ended March 2015. At the time, everyone thought the worst had come to pass, but today the airline unveiled yet another shocker to investors and Kenyans at large.
The situation at the end of the year is a loss after tax of 11.9 billion compared to 10.4 billion last year.
The increased losses came despite flat revenues during the period and lower and overhead costs, which cut the firm's operating losses from 10.455 billion shillings last year to 2.17 billion this year. However, the firm was hit by a 104% increase in finance costs, brought about by increased debt the firm has taken on in a bid to fund its turnaround strategy. As a result, the airline's total debt stands at 168 billion shillings, up from 148 billion last year.
An increased operating expenses and cost environment with the fleet growth and the renewal over the last 3 years. But more importantly, the fact that we have not executed from a commercial point of view the plan that we set, particularly in targets from a revenue perspective.
And despite reducing the fleet from 50 to 48, which raised the firm's cabin factor from 64 to 68% during the period, the airline still posted higher cost per seat, which cut yields and ate into the firm's bottom line. And this continued what has become a worrying trajectory for KQ's profit numbers.
The last 4 years, clearly our performance has deteriorated, leaving a profit gap of around $200 million. And an immediate need for us to improve our short-term cash position as well as revisit our long-term financing.
But Kenya Airways has called for patience as it executes its 24-point turnaround strategy that is hinged on reducing cost and enhancing connectivity to move KQ back into profit-making territory. Spearheaded by the McKinsey Group, the strategy includes plans to increase cash flow and sales and optimize the loan structure that KQ hopes will return it back to its feet. The firm is also working on a refinancing plan with the Afrexim Bank that will unlock liquidity and give KQ the headroom needed to maneuver a turnaround.
We are working, first of all, to refinance the short-term debt and term out and extend the tenures of that short-term debt. We are in discussions with local banks on that, and we have made good progress. We are also in discussions, as Alex mentioned, on getting additional short-term debt, really just to cover our position right now.
The airline also says it will be looking to reverse the negative equity position, which worsened from 6 billion shillings last year to 33.9 billion during the 6 months this year. As it stands, experts say the negative equity position makes the airline technically insolvent.
We take this issue seriously and we are working towards reversing it as soon as possible.
Despite the turbulence, experts maintain that there is still hope for the struggling airline, citing the 1.04 billion shillings generated from KQ's operations in the 6 months compared to the 2.2 billion shilling losses in the same period last year.
It shows that there is room that the airline can be turned around if sufficient capital is deployed to the airline.
Adelaide Changole, KTN Business.